Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm John, and in previous videos I've touched on the pros and cons of being self-employed. Now, I have said before in previous videos that I am self-employed. I work for myself as a party rental guy. I think that's what they call the term they use in the States. But over here in the UK, it's just we rent out equipment, which is tables and chairs, bouncy castles, marquees, that sort of stuff. Now, I have noticed in quite a few videos now, people are sort of saying that it's really hard to get back into the workplace for people of our age. Now, they may have been made redundant, lost your job for any reason, or just maybe fancied a change of career. That often happens. It happened to me actually when I was in my 40s. But they're finding it really hard to get into it for whatever reason, and one of the main ones seems to be you're overqualified or over-experienced. Now, I can't say being self-employed it sort of affected me. There's some temporary lights there, but I know it does affect quite a lot of people. Now, I can imagine it must be very difficult having worked all your life and then be told by somebody probably half your age that you're overqualified, and they don't need you. Now, really, the truth of it is, it's just ageism, pure and simple, really. They don't want to take you on because you've probably got more experience than the manager, and I don't want you to make them look bad. So I would say that's probably the main reason behind that. Now, as a self-employed person, we do have our own problems, really. You've still got to find work for yourself. You're the guy that's got to advertise, you've got to go and look for it, you've got to chase it up. But it does have its rewards because you are your own boss. Now, if you're working for a company, even on a part-time basis, you're still really answerable to a manager. Again, it could be half your age and less experience in telling you how he wants things. Now, that would never have suited me, really. I've always preferred to do it my way. I know what I can do, how reliable I am, and what I'm capable of. So I do take on my own jobs, and I can pick and choose the ones I do. Now, I've been sort of self-employed, well, pretty much all my working life, really. I did initially work in construction. I was a bricklayer for many years, working for myself. I did work for companies, but it was generally on a self-employed basis, really. So I was liable for my own tax and stoppages and so on. Sometimes the tax would be stopped off at source, but I had to fill in a self-assessment at the end of the year. But it was working for a company, kind of like freelancing, really. I did that for quite a number of years, and then I branched out on my own and started working for myself, doing small extensions, patios, that sort of stuff. And then when I was about 40, I started doing bouncy castles. I bought a couple to begin with, and it was my wife's idea. She used to go to parties when my children were small, and used to say to me, why don't you do this at weekends, just for a bit of extra money, really. So that's how we got into it. We just bought a couple to start with, and they proved to be quite popular. So we used to put those out at weekends. That was for the first 2 or 3 years, and I think it was year 3 it really started to take off. Now, then people would start asking me for particular types of castles. So you'd have all different themes, like jungle theme, princess theme, and so on. So I started diversifying, buying more castles, and then after that I'd be asked for, do you know anyone that does, that's quite a nasty crash there. Do you know anyone that does marquees or tables and chairs and other bits of equipment? First of all, I had to get it off other people, and they would I'd hire it off them and so on, and then I thought, at the end of the day, I might as well just buy my own, really, and then I haven't really got to rely on somebody else, whether they have or haven't got the equipment. So I just kind of gauged it, really, what was the most popular items, and I just invested in some stuff. So that was how I really got started doing the bouncy castles. And as I say, as it got more popular, I was still at the time bricklaying, doing small jobs and so on. In fact, I was doing both jobs at the same time, and it was quite hard for the first few years. The kids were young, but I was quite sort of driven, really, to do it. But after about 3 or 4 years, I thought, you know what, I'll have to make a decision now which one I want to do. Because once you got to a certain size with the bouncy castles and all the higher equipment, it did take a lot of managing really, and the inventory and all the equipment, organising jobs, phone calls, emails and that sort of stuff. So I decided to do it full time, which is what I did after about 4 or 5 years, I think it was. Now it was quite hard in the beginning. I had to get storage and so on and organise everything, but it was quite rewarding really. I mean, I used to like the bricklaying, the kind of the banter with the lads on site and all that, but you were forever getting rained off and stuff. Back then, if you got rained off, you didn't get paid. I think it may have changed now. You may, if you work for a company, still get a set amount for, you know, for rainy days, but back then you didn't. If you were self-employed, you were paid by what you were doing, and if you didn't do anything because of the weather, you didn't get paid. So that was one of the reasons why I left it really. It wasn't very reliable. So I started doing the castles. Again, you can get rained off, as you can imagine, but you kind of had less days to get rained off, whereas if I was working on site, it would be 5 days or possibly 6. With the bouncy castle, I was doing it over a weekend, so it was the law of averages. Obviously 2 days, the chances of getting rained off are less than 5 days, particularly in the autumn and winter months. So that's what I did. It does still happen, you can get rained off and you lose the jobs, or you can reschedule them and so on. So that was pretty much how I got into that, and I've kept doing it. Now I have touched on in previous videos that I'm sort of looking to retire now. I've sort of been doing it for a long time. It is a physically demanding job, which I do like, but my mind tells me I can still do what I did 20 years ago, but my body's telling me otherwise. I definitely can't do what I did 20 years ago. So I'm looking to sort of wind down. Now there's quite a lot of videos on YouTube of people that have taken early retirement and so on. Now it's not really for me, that I don't think, not yet anyway. I'd like to sort of reduce my hours and do less jobs, which I can do being self-employed obviously. But I'm not looking to sort of give it up completely and just potter around in the garden. Not just yet anyway. That may come. But at the moment I'm still hiring equipment. I'm on the way to a job now. I'm sort of in a rush hour a little bit, but we're going to pick up some tables and chairs, children's tables and chairs for a job. Now this time of year it's just at the end of the school term, so the summer holidays are just about to begin, so we do get these end of term parties quite a lot. This particular one is midweek. Well, it's actually a Thursday. So I think the schools are just breaking up and having a little party for the kids. I've done about 2 or 3 school ones this year already with bouncy castles and so on, but this is my last one before we go into the sort of summer holidays. Now that does have benefits in this industry, because it quietens down. Instead of having all your jobs at weekends, you start to get them more in the week, because people are off on holiday, and if a child's birthday party falls in midweek, you can have the party midweek rather than having it at the weekend, either before the birthday or after. So it does have its benefits there, but also it means you don't really get that time off in the week that I've become accustomed to and I quite enjoy it. So you're going to be sort of working in the week as well as at weekends. But that's just one of those things of being self-employed in this industry. It's pretty hit and miss, so you've got to take the work while it's there, and it is very seasonal as well. So you may have a lot of work or you may have very little. So as the saying goes, make hay while the sun shines. So yeah, it's kind of pretty much feast or famine in this industry. Pretty much construction was the same as well. You'd have a load of work or you'd have nothing. It's very similar in that regard, but it's also pretty rewarding really. I mean, it's less physically demanding than working in construction or in the buildings as we called it back then, because you'd be working 8 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, all day long, and you have to travelling to and from the job. Whereas now you just drive up to the job, you deliver your equipment, and then you're off to the next one. So you're getting a little bit of a break in between, rather than physically demanding 8 or 9 hours a day, which again is pretty good. So for anyone that's sort of in between jobs, as they say, and looking for something to do, I would sort of suggest sort of following your passion. If you've got a passion and a skill, or if you've worked for a company, you could go self-employed. It'll take a little bit of setting up, but For younger people, I'd say in their 40s, I changed careers when I was 40, I think it was, late 30s or 40. I decided I wanted to do, well, I was doing both jobs, as I say, but I wanted to sort of change over, really. I'd had enough, really, of turning up on jobs, getting rained off and so on. So that's what I did. So for anyone that needs encouragement, I would say definitely go for it. It's very doable, and if you have a passion or a skill, I've seen a lot of people taking up these kind of craft jobs. When I've been in my crafts, very artistic with their hands. They may have just worked in an office job all their life, and they just wanted to follow their passion. And if you've got a passion, then you're going to put a lot of effort into it because it's something you really enjoy doing, rather than turning up to a job that you don't particularly like doing, and you're just there to get paid and pay your bills. So I would say sort of definitely follow your dreams in that regard. There are a lot of side hustles, as they call it in the States, or second jobs or side job or whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely something worth doing, I believe. And if you've got that passion and drive, then certainly go for it. I did, and I don't regret it, that's for sure. I wish I'd have done it earlier, really. I worked on site, but when the kids were very small, like when I say under 5 and that, all you're worrying about really is putting bread and food on the table and paying your bills. So you want the security of working for a company, which is what I did, even though it was on a self-employed basis. They tended to keep you on if you're reliable, even in the sort of winter months. You would get sort of indoor work and so on. But after a while, it was the same old thing. You're at the mercy of the boss or the company you're working for, and they haven't got your interests at heart, really. Most of them, they're basically, they'll keep you on while they've got work, and if they haven't, they drop you pretty quick. Whereas if you're self-employed, working directly for yourself, you are the master of your own destiny, really. Well, you're actually not, in a way, because it's the market forces. If there's work there, you can do it. If it's not there, you've got no control over that. But I found doing what I'm doing, I've been, like I say, doing it for a number of years, and I've got quite a large customer base, and they use me all the time because they know I'm reliable. I'll turn up when I say I'm going to turn up. I'll do the job, do it professionally, and that's at the end of the day, when somebody picks up the phone, that's what they want. They want to know that you're going to turn up. I don't really like using another company, you know, going into the unknown, really, and I don't know what you're like, whether you're going to turn up or do a professional job or whatever. So I found that does have its advantages. Word of mouth and referrals, and in this industry, if you do a good job for someone, their friends and family will use you. Same as construction or anything, really. If you do a good job, their family and friends will use you, and they'll come back, and you can get them sort of customers for years to come, because their kids will be growing up and they may be using them for 10 years. You'd have a regular customer. And I have seen this now, where customers have come back to me year on year, and I've watched their kids grow up and so on. It's quite a good job to be into. I like it anyway. You can pick and choose, like I say. God, the traffic's horrendous. I say I like my job, I don't like this side of it when the traffic's like this. It's going to be a nightmare getting back home again. Anyway, we're just going to the job, like I say, to pick these tables and chairs up. It finishes at 4:30, which it nearly is now. So I'll just show you what we actually do as well. Right, I think the party's still on at the moment, but it's nearly finished, I'd say. I think they said 4:30, which it nearly is, so I'll give them a few minutes. Right, well, the party's just finished. There's a guy there collecting his light up number. I'm just going to go in and get my tables and chairs now. Okay, that's the equipment picked up. That's the only job we've got today. But anyway, I hope you found the video helpful. And if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If there's any other topics you'd like me to cover, just leave a comment in the section below and we'll try and do them in the next one. So, again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.